Welcome back to Dadulthood. I'm James. I wanted to do a bit of a catch-up video for those of you who haven't really been following the channel and wanted to know a little bit as to what I've been doing with the Range Rover, what my plans are, how I got into overlanding, and what I'm going to be doing next. So I decided to pick a Range Rover back about 18 months ago, an L322. I wanted a 4.2 litre V8 supercharged, and I was quite picky about the car. Picked an autobiography, so I had the leather interior I wanted, black leather interior, heated, ventilated seats, all the lovely stuff. And it's been a bit of an adventure ever since. So the plan was always to be able to go down to Portugal or drive around Europe and discover new places with my two teenage sons, Gene and Arlo. Things haven't always worked out exactly as planned. My initial trip was a big trip planned with a group of people I've met at the Stratford-upon-Avon racecourse. There was an overland show back, I think it was March last year. And I met Chris Gordon from the Orange Defender, who I'll pop a link in the description. And he was drumming up interest for a group of people to drive to Nordkapp, the very top of the world, it used to be called, in Norway. And it is in the Arctic Circle, so it is actually a drive to the Arctic. And crazily enough, I thought that was a great idea. So that's what I originally planned to do. So I built the car based on reliability, getting everything serviced, and then building it for the cold. So a different type of oil, slightly thinner oil, different coolant, installing a diesel heater, all that wonderful stuff. Things didn't go quite to plan in Germany. I ended up broken down at McDonald's with a blown up CV joint on the front prop shaft, which was a wonderful experience.
In 2003, a museum in Lyon-Sea abandoned its plans to display a 150,000-year-old, 4-foot-long woolly mammoth tusk.
Bluetooth mode. Connected. Connected.
At the roundabout, take the second exit onto Dorfstrasse.
After getting the car recovered back to the UK, it was impossible to get the part at the time in Germany. We got back and thought, right, okay, let's make sure everything's up to date. So I fixed the prop shaft, everything was fine. Next trip, let's do Strata, Florida. So we planned Strata, Florida. Again, prepped the car ready to go and got to Wales, no problem. Camped one night. The next day to get onto the Strata, within about 100 meters off-road, I had a puncture and a suspension fault. Punctures I can deal with. I was a bit frustrated by that. Getting a 41 kilo wheel down off the roof rack isn't an easy thing to do, but I had lots of help, and the guys I was with were absolutely fantastic and really helped. The compressor failed as well for my air suspension, which I had serviced. It just couldn't put out enough pressure, and I did find out why later on. That wasn't too much of a problem, but I then found out that I couldn't get the car back into high range on the transfer box. So the transfer box was blown as well. So we managed to creep the car back to Mark's house where we were camping at about 30 miles an hour all the way back, which was quite a long trip, and then had the car recovered again. So here we are. It is now July 2025, tail end of July, and I am planning to go on a trip to the Pyrenees with Mark from Overlanding Forward. He's very graciously planned the entire trip. He's incredibly good at this kind of thing. I mean, literally wrote a book on it. So I'm really encouraged by that. He's put a plan together for a trip that I should be able to cope with based on my experience, or lack of experience still, and the things that I'm most nervous about with the car. But the car is now working. The transfer box has been replaced, despite the company that I used to actually recondition the transfer box going out of business in the meantime, and then getting lost with a broken down courier. Honestly, you couldn't make it up. But I got the car back, it is ready, and now it's time to start getting it prepped for the Pyrenees, which is obviously a very different trip to the Arctic. It's on the hotter side of things, be early 30s during the day and around mid to late teens in the evenings. So back to normal oil, all that kind of stuff. So in this episode, I'm going to start really just prepping the car ready to go. I'm also going to run through some of the items that I'm going to be taking with me to the Pyrenees as a kind of a guide as to what I think you would need on a trip like this. I'm more of an over planner. I tend to take probably way too much stuff, but the point is the more trips I do, the better I'll become at gauging what stuff I actually need to take. So enough of the chat. Let's get on with putting the car back together and prepping it ready for the Pyrenees. Strap the fridge in the back. Let's get the fridge in place first. Okay, fridge is in. Now we've got the tie downs. Don't tighten those up until the top bit's on. thing I want to do is, just because I want to plan things out, and get this cover in there as well. I don't need to get into there at the moment, so it'd be useful to get that out of the way out there in the right place. I can then start measuring up this height, see whether I can get the bluetti in there, or bluetti in there, or the AC unit, or whatever I'm decided to do. Okie dokie, that's in. So what we need to do is a bit more measuring now for the blue tee and the frame, and maybe even an AC unit. So let's have a look inside, shall we? Okie dokie. Oops. So I'll put a little bit of a short video about what I've got here, so you know what this is. So some time ago, I got myself one of these external power stations to go in the car. It seemed like a better idea than trying to build out lithium batteries in the car itself. So I got myself a Bluetooth AC180. It's not the biggest they do, certainly not the smallest. It does have the inverter in it, so I've got the 2 UK plug sockets, which has proved quite useful over the last few months. This isn't a video about the Bluetooth, however, I'm really pleased with this, so yeah, go buy yourself one. But what I did have a problem with was securing it to the car. It's quite a heavy piece of kit. You don't want it falling around, you don't want it falling over. You certainly don't want it rolling around in the back or damaging anything else, to be honest, which it could easily do. So I wanted to find a way of securing this to the car. The last trip I did, I had screwed a couple of rudimentary hooks into the board beneath the car and used a ratchet strap on the top, which kind of scuffed up the hand. I was not particularly pleased with that. And I thought there must be a better way of doing this. I did look around for power station securing straps or anything along those lines, and I couldn't really find anything. I'm not sure whether I'm just not looking properly. But what I did have was a spare computer strap. So what I bought some time ago was this computer strap. This is from Vivo, I think it is. I will double check and put a link in the description. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that at all. This is just purely out of, I think it's a great idea. So these fit underneath a desk so that you can then hang your computer from those straps. So rather than having it on the floor, especially if you've got a sit-stand desk that goes up and down, perfect for that. That's what this was bought for. I think it was about 30 quid, but again, I'll put a link in the description. This didn't fit my desk because of the framework, so I had it spare. It was just knocking around. So it dawned on me that it could possibly be about the right kind of size for a power station. So I thought I'll have a go. I took the straps back off and set it all up to be the right size for the blue tee, and sure enough, it fits very well. So the blue tee sits on the two metal pieces, which you would screw into wherever you're keeping the actual power station itself. Make sure it's nice and central. And then these straps literally just slide up over the top. Like that. And like that. And you tighten it down to however tight you want it. That will stop that moving around. Absolutely blinding. If I had to create something myself, it would look like that. So I thought I'd share that with you. I think it's a really neat little solution. It cost bugger all really to get it, and it's nice, neat, looks professional, you know, and stops your power station from rolling around at the back of your car. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. So you've seen what I've got. Now I've got to try and work out where I want to fit it. Idea is I'm going to try and get it here, but it might not, and it's also bloody hot in here at the moment. It might be better off going up here, but this is where I want to check to make sure I've got height and room for it. So I think this is the obvious place to put it, because I think if I put it here, I'm not going to have that space to attach both of the brackets like that. I thought so, so it's going to end up being like that, which is not ideal. I also think this is probably the most obvious place to put an AC unit if I decide to go down that path as well. So I'm going to see whether this fits up here somewhere. Give it a go. Not the lightest thing in the world. It does fit up there. Quite nicely, in fact. Like that. Then I think if I'm going to have an AC unit, I think it's going to have to go here, or it might have enough to go in the middle there. But it is blooming hot in here. I might just going to grab my little fan I bought and see if that makes any difference at all in here. Nice little Amazon Prime deal day thing. Little fan, which will go on. Wow, that's strong, that. I wonder if it'll go on there, look. It'll flop around a bit there, isn't it? Although, saying that, that's probably strong enough. It's not going to tip down, is it? So this is where I'm going to have to try and work out what's going to work, because when I'll be sleeping in here, I'm going to die if I don't do something with cooling. And the plan was to potentially get an AC unit, an EcoFlow Wave 3, which is very tempting. It's still pretty bloody expensive. I can get a Wave 3 on a deal with a Wave 2 extended life battery, which is a different type of, they're not lead acid batteries, I don't think. They might be lead acid batteries, but they're not as good. For about 700 quid. The full Wave 3 with a Wave 3 extended battery is still like £1,300. So that's a big fat no, having just spent £1,150 getting the transfer box redone. So I need to work out whether this is going to be sufficient for keeping me cool. Have a quick lay down and see. It's not too shabby. The doors are open and it's not that bad. It's like 30 degrees at the moment. That could work. Okie dokie. Does go faster than that as well. It's also a little light as well. In fact, it's got a remote control. I forgot about that. And with a 10,000 milliamp hour or something like that, pretty good. It's like 30 quid. Got a little light on it too. And you can have it on a timer. It's blinding. Not literally blinding. That's really good though. Oh, God. It's a hot one today, folks. Right, so anyways, is this where we think we're going to be putting the blue tea? I think so. I can get it in and out there quite easily. So shall we screw that in? Okie dokie, let's get this drilled on. Ugh, that fan is brilliant. Okay, so let's get this roughly in the right place. Okay, pleased with that. And then let's get this lined up. Like that. Get the strap onto it as it slides on. Like that. That it's on top, and then that one on top like that. And there we go. Okie dokie. Power supply comes through there, so I need to get that actually. Next, I'm going to get some figures for the EcoFlow Wave 3 and work out whether or not I can fit that in here. Because I kind of like the idea of having AC. It would also be my heater, but it is big. So I don't know. So what is next for this? So the only issue with having trying to have a dual vehicle is that you end up having to reconfigure it every single time, and that's what I have to do with these, which is a bit annoying. But no dramas. Okay. Now, annoyingly, I have no idea what I've done with all the nuts and bolts for this one. But no doubt I'll find them. Okie dokie, so now I've got to try and work out where this went. So I've got one hole there. That might not be big enough, that one. Roof box. Oh, back on. Next, ideally, I need to put the spare wheel back on. But that means I've got to take the one off the car first. So let's do that first. Okay. Well, it's not too bad. There we go. Okay. Get my torque wrench. Yeah, it's a funny thing to watch. Watching a grown man struggle to put a spare wheel on a roof. Now this thing weighs about, I think was it 41 kilos? So it is no joke. Put my gloves on actually, it just makes life a little bit easier. Are they still wet? Yeah, still wet. Nothing better than wet gloves. This might be really embarrassing. At least they're grippy. So you need to roll it onto your leg first, this thing, because it weighs a ton. And onto here. That's how I did it. That's how I did it. Whew. Right. Oh, like that. That's what we want. Before I hook this back on, I noticed that this is obviously made of probably mild steel or something. So I'm going to take this off, give it a clean up with WD-40, whack some copper grease on this, try and stop it from rusting as best I can, and then get it back on. But otherwise, it's doing a good job. Do that first. So I've cleaned it all up, given it an oil down, copper greased. So this literally, that swings out of the way. Hook goes down, hooks underneath. Turn this around. Like that. And that slips down like that and goes through the loop like that. I've got mine set to an appropriate number. And there we go. Job done. That ain't moving. That's on Amazon as well. That wasn't particularly quid. I think it was particularly expensive. I think that was like 50 quid. So it's pretty good actually if you want to just stick it on something with a T-slot. So yeah, they're pretty good. Worth the money. And I've managed to get the wheel down on my own and up on my own. So I know I can do it. Anyways, next. Right, when packing solo, try to keep things in bags rather than boxes. They're just a lot more flexible to slide under seats and passenger footwells, all that kind of stuff. So I have routinely gone around TK Maxx picking up these Molly bags. I can't actually remember who makes them. Quick look. It is Highland Tactical. And I've got 2 or 3 of these, maybe even 4 now, of these knocking around. And they're absolutely brilliant. They're really versatile. They're ever so strong. Good zips, all that kind of stuff. And you can pick them up for like 30 odd quid. So brilliant little things. You don't need to spend a fortune on these things, just pick them up as and when you see them in TK Maxx. I'm sure other shops sell them as well, but that's where I get them from. What I try to do is keep everything in one bag. This, for example, is my food bag. Not as in I'm going to eat the food, but anything to do with food. All my cooking stuff, plates, bowls, all that kind of stuff. I try to keep everything in one bag, and then I know where everything is. If I want to stop, make a meal, grab this bag out, and I'm ready to go with some food. So to give you some idea as to what I do, I always keep a cup on the outside because it's just easy to get hold of. Quickly make yourself a cup of coffee. Nice and easy. I have still got some tent pegs on here, but that's not normally there. So on the inside of this bag, literally I have everything. So we have cutlery that sits in here. It's always in a separate place. You can get to them really easily. I literally have a knife, fork, spoon, teaspoon, one of each. There really is no need to bring anything else, multiples of anything. Chopping board. You'd be surprised how useful a chopping board is. There is a small one in the roof of the fridge that I've got in there, but it is like literally about this big. It's just a pain in the arse. So these aren't very heavy. Nice wooden chopping board. It's quite a useful thing to have. Then you've got to have plastic wine glass. So I don't carry any glass with me. Everything is pretty strong and unbreakable. So plastic bowl, plastic plate. This, in fact, is a camping plate from 1970s. So that's my brother's one, actually. So sorry, Alex. As is that one as well. So we've got a plate, 2 couple of plates, a bowl, and a cup. And then obviously I've got, a mug as well. So from eating things, I've got my cutlery and my crockery. That's all I need to take there. I've got my jet boil. It's absolutely brilliant. So great for instant meals, instant dehydrated meals, pot noodles, coffee, all that kind of stuff. You don't need to fire up everything else. Really, really make life easy. Get a jet boil. There just is nothing quite as good as a jet boil, I have to admit. I have tried all sorts of different types in the past. That thing is amazing. Then we've got in here, I've got my camping stove. So I've actually got, I've got a dual burner camping stove. Nice simple one that opens up into 2 stoves, if I quickly show you, hang on. Like that, and uses the same gas as the jet boil. So that's nice and easy to use. You don't have to worry about taking any other additional gases or anything like that at all. Really, really simple thing to have. And that's plenty enough for what I need, certainly for just me. And in fact, even with the boys as well. absolutely fine. So I've got that if I need to cook anything more than the jet boil can do. Tongs for bacon. Knife set. Do have a decent knife set because there's nothing more irritating than using those knives that you've had in the camping kit since 1970s that are blunt as hell, and every year you're like, oh, got to replace these. So have a decent knife set, keep them tucked away, not going to fall out and hurt anyone. Utensils, again, something robust that's going to clip together, get out of the way so you've got anything you can cook with. And then I carry a couple of skillets. So I've got a large skillet, and then I've also got a smaller skillet. You keep separated, otherwise they bang around. These are absolutely blinding. I bought these just the other day, wanted something reasonably heavy. What you do find with the camping gear, I have also got another camping set somewhere knocking around, the saucepans, the frying pans. One, they're very, very small because they're lightweight. And two, they're incredibly thin, so they don't hold any heat. So it's really difficult. So, for example, when frying bacon, I do go on about bacon, frying bacon, it takes a blooming long time. It ends up just sweating the meat and steaming it because it just takes so long to get that heat into it. So have something that's it is heavier, obviously, but they'll hold a bit more heat, and it would just be that easier to cook with as well. And last but not least, washing up bowl, collapsible washing up bowl. And that is literally everything I need to use. So keep it nice and simple. Everything tucks away in one bag. There's no issues with that. One on the outside, one on the inside. And then you know where everything is. It really, really is straightforward. So everything fits in there really easily. Utensils. This goes on the top, on the bottom. Jet boil, crockery, peg, and that is everything you need. Apart from a separate pot set, which I do keep separately. That really is everything you kind of need that I've needed so far, and it's served me really, really well. Like I said, I keep things in bags because they're just a lot easier. I don't really like to take any hard, rigid boxes in the car at all. Obviously, I've got the Pelican box on the roof. That's mainly for breakdown tools and all that kind of stuff, ropes. So everything else is in a bag, squished away somewhere. So that's how I carry my cooking stuff. This is the other pot and pan set thing I have. I have actually got another one, which I bought from AliExpress, but this happens to be a Van Gogh one. And as you can see, this is the frying pan. It might be sufficient when you're on your own, but certainly when I had the boys in Wales cooking enough bacon for 3 bacon sandwiches on that was an absolute pain in le derriere. So that's why I wanted to get a bigger skillet or frying pan. So this is what I have anyway so I won't really use that frying pan much, to be fair. But in here you've got the obligatory saucepan, stackable saucepans, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I have if I'm doing something a bit more adventurous. Otherwise, it's hot water and frying stuff. So that is all of the utensils I take. There is literally nothing else. I do try to keep things as simple as possible. You know, there really is no point overcomplicating everything. I don't have any cooking appliances. I don't have like a mini microwave. I don't have an oven. I think Mark's got one of those like small ovens in his, which is awesome, I have to admit. So Mark, I might end up asking you to borrow your oven. And you can get these things, but because I'm limited on space, because I sleep in the car, I don't really have room for those extra appliances. I am considering taking a toaster this year, mainly because I've got a lot of electricity. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm taking my Blue Tea AC 180. There's a lot of power in that, and I really have got no need for it. I have been thinking about this. I've got my Anker Solix thing as well, which is plenty enough power to charge my phone and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to be charging the leisure battery at the same time, so that's fine as well for all the extra lights and stuff. I probably don't need the power. So I think I'm taking a toaster. It's only a small little camping toaster that I've got, so I might take that. Other than that, that really is as simple as I keep it for cooking, and that is all I need to take nothing else. I do have a Leatherman as well, Leatherman Signal, which I use for any very, very sharp stuff. But now I've got that knife set, I probably won't need to use that with regards to cooking. So yeah, nice and simple. I tell a lie, there was one other thing that I had to have as an appliance, and that is my L322 espresso maker. This thing has been really heavily used. It is absolutely brilliant. I probably have 3 or 4 espressos a day. I'm a terrible caffeine addict. So yeah, that is definitely an appliance I would never leave home without on any trip. So what else am I taking with me as well? So from a health and hygiene side of things, I do have, I knew I'd forget something. So I do have a big bag of body wipes, which I will make sure are disposed of properly. These ones are not biodegradable ones, I don't think. They might even be, these are natural ones. They might actually be, I can't remember. They are full body wipes. They're like just massive wet wipes. Great when, especially when in dusty conditions, all that kind of stuff, when you want to freshen up. Mark does have like a shower and you know, it basically said I could use it, which is great. But it's nice to be able to have something you can clean yourself off with quite quickly. And also along those lines, I've been looking into what kind of wash to use, because there are hundreds of different types of sort of biodegradable washes and all that kind of stuff. And I came across this stuff called Sea to Summit, this wilderness wash. Now this might gross some people out because I don't know, people get funny about this kind of stuff, but this is actually body wash, shampoo, and dishwashing detergent and clothes detergent. So it is basically a universal biodegradable detergent. So you could wash your hair with it, clean your body with it, clean your dishes with it, then clean your clothes with it, put it back in your bag. So it seemed like a really good idea. I've got no idea. It doesn't really smell of anything, to be fair. It's very, very, well, it's fragrance free, I think, actually. But it's really, really good idea, I think. So I don't need to take a separate washing up liquid, all that kind of stuff. So that is something I'm going to take. Another thing I have got for this trip, now I haven't had one of these before. I bought one of these the other day based on the usage that we had in Wales. So Mark and Richie on the last trip both had one of these flex tail mosquito repellents, which are absolutely, they're amazing. I have to admit, I visibly could tell the difference. But like me and my boys all said, when this was hanging up and on, when their one was hanging up and on, we noticed that there were visibly less mozzies around. So I decided to get one of these. They take these little sachets, which don't come with the flex tail, which is completely mental, but they don't come with any, not even 1 or 2. You put slide 2 of them in, and you can have it on like a low heat or a high heat, depending on how big a radius you want it to be effective. So you're like in a tent, and you have it on the smaller one. It lasts a lot longer, all that kind of stuff. I think it's got like a torch on it as well, and it's got like a little tripod stand and a magnet as well. You can stick it to your car or something like that, if your car isn't aluminium. But yeah, so I've got one of those for this year. I'm hoping I'm not going to need it too much, but I've got it just in case. And what else is there? So we've also got roadside emergency kit. These again are just standard kits. I've not added anything to this one. This is standard kit that you keep in the footwell of your car going through all the continental Europe countries. So I don't know whether they're all the same, but certainly France. If you get pulled over and you haven't got one of these, I think you get ticketed. And I don't know how they make you buy another one. I don't really know what the rules are exactly, but I know you definitely don't want to be caught without one. You also got to make sure it's within reach, because the thing that people seem to get caught out with, and I have noticed this quite a lot, is that these fluorescent bibs that you get in them, you have to be able to put that on before you get out the car in the event of an emergency. So if you've got this stashed in the boot, which is all well and good, where you deal with the breakdown stuff, if your high-vis vest is in there, then you'll get a ticket because you can't get out the car unless you've got high-vis on. So keep that in the footwell of your car, the passenger footwell or something like that, really close to hand, so you can get it before getting out the car. You don't want any unwanted tickets or any unnecessary drama. So that is most of the things I'm going to be taking with me on this trip. I've got a whole load of little bits and pieces which I'm going to kind of amalgamate up in a moment, and I'll do a quick video on those too. Hopefully you can hear me above the rain noise. It's got a bit of a torrential storm going down. Another thing I forgot to mention before is that I will be taking these window covers again. So these are the ones I made for the Arctic tour. If you want to know how I made these, go see the video here. I'm going to get that right. If my editing skills are getting better. These obviously keep the heat in when you're somewhere cold, but actually they're very good at keeping the heat out as well. So obviously during the day, I'm probably going to keep these. So this is the rear tailgate. Then we've got rear passenger window, or rear passenger door, front door, another rear passenger door, another front door, and then the windscreen. So the side doors, so I would imagine keeping that to one side, not that one, that one. So these I'm going to keep in the car probably the whole time. Just keep them stuck against the windows. These are the rear doors. I've already got the back rear quarter windows. They're already in at the moment anyway, because when I was installing the rear build. So these will stay in the car. I'm just going to keep them attached to the windows just to keep the heat out during the day as much as possible. The boot, I can't really keep that on during the day because I didn't do a cutout for the camera, and I haven't got a reversing camera. I've got an Autovox digital camera. So I might at a later stage cut down here for a space for the camera to go, something like that. Or keep it pinned and just have this rolled down or something along those lines. But either way, it will keep the heat out the back of the car as much as possible. And then when I get to site ready to camp up, bung these on the front and the front windscreen one. And again, that just keeps the heat out in the morning, and also light pollution and things like that. Helps with a bit of privacy more than anything else. So yeah, really glad I made those. They stood up pretty well in the Arctic or the Germany. Yes, I'll be taking those with me. I've just seen there's still a staple here as well, so I will pull that one out as well. But yeah, other than that, there's a few other little bits and pieces. Let's see what's next, shall we? Got the staple out. So with regards to all this kind of stuff, taking a roll of bin liners as well, because they're useful for all sorts of things, not just rubbish. Very much of the mindset of leave no trace as much as possible. So always take your rubbish with you. So I've just taken a roll of those. It's one of those things you can take, take one or take two or take 3 bin bags, and it's like by the time you've worked out what you're going to do, you might as well just take a roll of bin bags. What else am I taking? So this mess of stuff. So I've got my light. So I've got this is a white and an amber light, which is very, very useful. Doesn't chew up any power really. Plugs straight into my Bluetooth or my Anker Solix. The Anker has actually got a light as well. So this is the Solix. What I'm going to try and do and work out is whether I can use just this instead of using my Bluetooth. And then I'm going to know what I'm going to need to take on future trips. But for the time being, I'm taking this and my Bluetooth. So this has actually got a light on it as well. If I can remember how it goes. Turn it on first. And then, no, here. So that's got a light on it as well. So I can have that next to me. I can have this on. The fan thing I've got in the car, I think I've already shown you. That's also got a little light in as well. So that is fine. A few cables in there as well. And I bought a case for that one. The Anker does not come with this case. I think that was like 12 quid on Amazon. Also bought an iPad holder. So again, this clips to the rear parcel shelf area. So when I'm laying in bed on those days when I wake up and I'm on my own, or if everyone else is still asleep, just sit and watch the iPad, no worries. Really useful, so you don't get arm ache holding a blooming iPad. Things like that really irritate me. Last but not least is this extension lead. So I'm going to have this plugged in to, I was having issues with it, I'm not sure it's still working, I need to double check that's still working. But this plugs into the Bluetooth, runs to the front of the car, so I have this usually by the front seat. So I've got somewhere here, I can plug something in when I need it, straight away, whatever it might be. I've also got 3 USB sockets, 3 USB-A's and a USB-C as well. It's not the fastest of charging things, but it's useful to have that inverter kind of power right at the front of your car whenever you need it. I can't even think at the moment what I would need it for, but it's useful having that there to plug in GoPro batteries or whatever it might be, something along those lines. So I always have that. It's a really useful thing to have. You can then move it around. If you want it outside when you're doing something, you just leave it outside. So it's useful to have an extension lead. It's only, a couple of meters or maybe 1.8 meters. Can't actually remember. And again, this is just an Amazon job. So it's like if you see these things and you think, oh, that might be useful, the chances are it probably will be useful, except mine's all tangled. So yeah, 1, 2, so 2.4 meters, I think it is, this one. It's just a really useful little thing to have. So if you think you're going to need an extension lead, just get hold of one. You don't need to go without. So that's that. I'm running out of things to show you. I think that's most things that I'm going to be packing. I've obviously got a standard tool set. So my Halfords Pro set I'm going to take with me. I do want to kind of reconfigure that at some stage, maybe get a tool roll. But it's difficult to know what tools I do need and what tools I don't. That big Halford set weighs a lot, and it has a lot of tools in there I'm not going to need. So I don't quite know what to take just yet. I might try and work that out on another trip, take fewer tools. But I've got a rucksack with like my puncture repair kit, all my breakdown stuff, toe straps, hitch. I've got a little shovel thing, some paracord, all that kind of stuff. That all sits in a rucksack, much like this. It's just a green one. I'll show you. Hang on. So this is the other one. So this is what I tend to have as like a tool bag more than anything else. So in here I've got that's my puncture repair kit from Boulder. Nothing in that one at the moment. I've got deflating tool. So deflating, quick deflating, very useful. I've got toe strap. It's a 10-ton toe strap, so it's not a really thick one, but it should be pretty good what we need. Got a soft hitch and one of these little shackles. That sits in there as well. Bunch of paracord. Little collapsible spade thing. First aid kit, which actually I probably won't keep in here. That will probably go somewhere else in the car that's easy to get to. Saw, I think it's a saw. Yep, that's a saw. It's a little collapsible saw. So this is on top of taking that socket set, that Halford socket set, like I was saying. I also tend to put a little bag of like pliers, cutters, spare wire, electrical connectors, electrical tape, that kind of stuff. I take JB Weld with me. Some of that self-amalgamating tape you put on hoses. I take some of that with me as well. Well, small roll of gaffer tape, like duct tape. And take what you think you're going to be able to use and repair stuff yourself. There's no point taking a whole load of kit that you don't know how to use. You don't know what to do with it. If you're going to be in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to see anybody for days and days and days, then yeah, okay, fair enough, but really should you be doing that on your own? So the way I see it is that everything I take with me are things that I know how to use, I can use. I've never had to use a puncture repair kit, I do say that, but I'm happy to give it a try. When I had the puncture in Wales and Strata, I had a sidewall puncture. It tore the sidewall of the tyre, which is really frustrating because you can't repair those with the kit that I had. There is a sidewall repair kit that I've seen on Amazon. I think I might get hold of that because I don't have one of those at the moment. It's much like that self-amalgamating tape, again, much, much thicker. And I think you can use that. So I'm going to have a look at that. I might have that. That's just a standard, you've got a main puncture in the actual, like a nail or something like that. So that's most things I'm going to take in here. I will amalgamate them, make them all nice and neat and tidy. I don't just shove them in. So that is my kind of tool bag. And then this is the last of the molly bags I've got. This one here. And this is what I'm going to get all my clothes in. So I really don't want to take tons and tons of clothes. And there really is no need. I'm going somewhere hot, 9 days. And this is also a big enough bag to carry in all things like my medication as well, like that. I do suffer with things like hay fever and that kind of stuff and all sorts of other things. So I do need to take medication with me. So I want it somewhere safe, central, somewhere I can get to it really easy, all in one place. And this should be big enough for, underwear for 9 days and, a bunch of t-shirts, a few pairs of shorts and a hoodie. I really don't need much more than that. So that should be plenty big enough for what I need. So yeah, this is another one of those molly bags. It has become a bit of a standing joke that whenever I go into TK Maxx and I see them, I tend to just buy them. Got to stop doing that. I don't really need any more. But that is that bag. What else? The only other thing I've got is this proved to be really useful actually on my Arctic trip as well. So this sits on the front seat. So if you're going passengerless, you have your front seat. This literally sits in, there's a couple of clips behind, it goes across, clips onto the lap belt element of the seat belt when it's seat belt buckled in, so it doesn't go anywhere. So you've got your main compartment, but this is actually like a little fridge bag. So you don't have to use that. I've got the fridge, so I'm probably not going to use it as well. So you've got loads and loads of room. This is actually, you can take this out, it's velcroed out, and in here, this is where I will be putting my outing and all my coffee pods, things like that. So you keep your water and your drinks and all that kind of stuff in there. I also keep a little camping mirror, which is really useful. No, I'm not particularly vain. I don't really care what I look like, but I do wear contact lenses, and that's a pain to do without a mirror. It's also useful to get something in your eye and all that kind of thing, rather than having to sit up at the sun visors, as I don't have a rear view mirror. So yeah, so this is a really, really handy little thing to have. This was packed full of biscuits and chocolate and drinks and all that kind of stuff on the way to the Arctic, and was just really, really a welcome thing to have. What you can do with this one, obviously, with a little fridge bag, is put your freezer blocks in it. So if you're not taking a fridge and you're going on like a short weekend thing or something like that, you can put your freezer blocks in this, do that up, and you've got your little fridge bag in there as well. So it's a pretty versatile little thing. I think that was also an Amazon job. I'm not quite sure. I will try to find links to all these things and put them all in the description if I can. But that thing has been brilliant. Wasn't very expensive, and I really like it. You've got room to put your drinks in the front as well, which is great. Other than a sleeping bag and a blanket, which I'm going to be taking, there's not really a lot else to tell you. I've got a camping chair, which were my AliExpress special camping chairs, really, really good. And I've just bought a collapsible table as well, because my table I did have doesn't fit where I wanted it to fit, which is really annoying. So I bought a little collapsible table and a camping chair. That is pretty much it. That is all I'm going to be taking. I'm not taking a huge amount of stuff. I'm trying to keep this as lean as possible because I am terrible at overpacking. I will be taking, I think I'm going to be taking my drone with me. I haven't had much of an opportunity to use it. I bought that in anticipation of using it a lot in the Arctic, and obviously that didn't go to plan. I ended up leaving it in the car, so I didn't have it for 3 weeks, and I fell out of love with it. I haven't used it much. Charging the batteries now. I'm going to try and use it a little bit at the moment. It's torrential rain today, so I'm not using it today. But I want to try and take that with me to the Pyrenees if I can make use of it. Otherwise, it's just another thing that's going to need charging and looking after. But my plan is to take that along with a couple of GoPros and all that kind of thing to film what I can. That, I think, is it. That's most of the stuff off the shelves. I think that's pretty much most of it, really. There's a few things like my topped on, the Noco Genius thing and things like that. So the charger and the jump start pack, all that kind of stuff. Standard tools that I would take with me as a Range Rover owner. They're going to be coming with me. And what else? You got to get one of these. If you're a dude, don't be shy. Get one of these. I mean, they're so cheap. I'm not going to tell you how many times I've used it, but when it's cold outside, you don't want to leave the car, not while you're driving. You could, I suppose, but this has been really, really useful. So that's definitely coming with me as well. And I think that is about it. I don't need to carry mat because I've got a mattress in the car. If it does get too hot in the car to sleep, Mark is bringing his cot bed for me to use, which I'm really, really very grateful for. We'll just have to wait and see what it's like there, to be honest. But otherwise, it's going to be a matter of when it stops raining, I'll start trying to work out where I actually want to store everything and start packing it away in the car ready to go. So that is it. Brief look into the hell that is my brain and the way I organise things. We've got fluids up here, so we've got washer fluid, oil, we've got ATF, we've got coolant, we've got other stuff I think, can't remember that. We've got a tyre inflation kit, gloves, WD-40, we've got wipes, these things are really bloody good. We've got all my sort of like glues and all that kind of stuff, greases, a couple of big pry bars, well, one small, one big. We've got the shackle and stuff, which I've taken from the rucksack. I'm having it in here instead. We've got the inflation kit, puncture repair kit, load of paracord, some screwdrivers, decent big strap. Then we've got in here, we've got some pliers, we've got spare wire, zip ties, all that kind of stuff. Mole grips, a tow strap, a tow rope, it's a tow strap I think actually. Multimeter, electrical stuff basically. So we've got a little OBD2 box, which is bloody handy actually sometimes. The gap tool's great, but for making things simple, it's really simple, that can be really useful. Got a little relay tester, because these sort of things are quite useful. We've got a little battery tester as well to see if we're trying to find the root cause, and a little temperature gun as well. And that's pretty much all I'm putting up here. I want to try and keep the weight down as much as possible off the roof, but that's pretty well packed. That shouldn't jump around too much. I might just put something over the top of it. But other than that, that's ready to go and get closed. Right, this is probably the last video I'm going to take before I actually leave, because I'm trying to get this all done and edited before I go away. This is pretty much what I'm going to be taking. That rucksack's still going to have a lot of dried food in it, so that's what that's for. Other than that, my mattress is all down. I've got a blanket. I have actually got a sleeping bag back there if I need it. And then up here we've got an iPad holder. We've got our LED light. We've got a fan, which I'm hoping will help and do okay. I've got the Bluetooth power station, everything plugged in. We've got the mains wire going all the way around to the front of the car, so I can use it there. Flex tail stuff there for mozzies, wet wipes, all this kind of stuff. These will probably get packed away when I do the food. When I pack it all away, it's probably get somewhere else as well. This is just stuffed in here because I need to take this home. This is going to be going in there as well, probably, especially the toilet roll. I'm taking a toaster, why not? I've got some room. So that's the inside there. From the back, we have got drone. You see the back of the bloaty. I've got my GoPro gear in a bag there, and I've got all my cooking stuff in that one bag there. So that's because it's got the gas containers and stuff like that in it, so I've got that strapped down. The rest should be okay, to be fair. We've got the window covers, sleeping bag, fridge. We've got a camping chair, tripod, camping toilet, which I might use. A little camping table in there as well. Nice and simple in the back. From this side, we've got, you can see some more of the window covers there, jack pad and the ARB high lift jack. And we've got a little roll mat here to sort of lay on or if I need to work underneath the car. Go on the other side actually. In the front, okie dokie, in the front we tried to keep things reasonably simple because I think the last time when I was packing for the Arctic I had a lot of warm gear and needed to pack, and it ended up being really stuffed and I couldn't get anything, so I've kept it nice and simple so I can get to things nice and easily. Breakdown kit, first and foremost. First aid kit, secondly, hope I never need to use it. Got my Anchor Solix in here and I've got my top don there, so that's my jump pack, which I again hope I never have to use. By having this not too stuffed, I can also still use my glove box, all that kind of stuff. So all my insurance documents, all that kind of stuff are in there. I print them out always. My AA breakdown's in there. My certificate of insurance is in there, and my ferry tickets are also in there. Fire extinguisher to hand, although that's probably not where it's going to go. I might put that somewhere else. This is where I'm going to put some food and bits and pieces for the actual journey down, so I don't have to keep stopping and ferreting around in the back. We've got the CB down there. I did install a speaker as well up there because when I was in Wales, I realised that even with the speaker turned up, the CB turned up absolute maximum, I just couldn't really hear what people were saying. So for a tenner, I've got a little speaker, plugs directly into the CB and makes a world of difference. So that's all cabled up nicely and out the way. We've got a charging socket there for my phone. We've got, this is for the inclinometer, which is over there in the corner there. If we are doing any serious off-roading. We've got a little charger here for the iPad. I'm not entirely convinced as to where I'm going to use the iPad or not this time. I'm gonna see. It's a potential. I'm gonna take it and we're gonna have a look. In fact, I've forgotten that, so I need to go get that. We've got the little carrier thing up here. It's great for stuffing a jacket or a map. And I did use that quite a lot actually in the Arctic, so on the Arctic trip. I keep calling it the Arctic. I didn't get there, so I've got no right to actually say the Arctic. The trip I went on, I did use that for shoving up jumpers and things like that out of the way, which is very, very useful. So that is the car prepped and ready. So I'm frantically trying to get things finished. I've checked over the car. I've checked all of the nuts and bolts. I've checked all the wheels, checked all the lights, the electrics, oil, fluids, coolant, everything else. Everything's tightened down on top of the roof. Roof box is done, locked and ready to go. We should be good, I think. So I just need to put food in there and my bag of clothes, which is in that black duffel bag. And then we should be good to go. I think that's where I'm going to sign off. I don't think there's anything else I can really do for this particular video. So fingers crossed, the next video you see should be me talking about a successful trip, or maybe some videos of when I've actually been away. So fingers crossed. Hopefully it's not a YouTube short of me broken down somewhere, but fingers crossed. Everyone, please wish me luck. Stick some comments in, that'll help me. Give me some luck. Anyways, thanks again for watching. I know this has been quite a long drawn out video, so apologies about that, but I've been trying to get as much as I possibly can into this before I go away. Do like, share, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff, and I'll see you again very, very soon.